All right, we are recording. Welcome to the Building Student Power Summit. That's a fancy way of saying there's a lot of people that have a lot of anger towards some of the decisions that are happening at this in the institutional level right now. And we are going to convene and crystallize some opinions and hear each other out on the way that we're feeling, whether that be very rational or very emotional, because I know there's a wide range of opinions right now, and there's also a wide range of skill levels that are here who have gotten a chance to participate in practicum, or maybe we're still looking forward to that experience. So I want to make sure that everybody gets the chance to, I want to honor everybody's feelings no matter where you're at in the program. And then hopefully channel those feelings and your very good points that I'm sure everyone will make tonight, and make sure that those are heard by the right people. Does that sound like a plan to everybody? Sounds good. So I don't intend to talk too much tonight. I just really want to hear what you guys have to say. And I want this to be a discussion too, so feel free to talk more than once. You don't need to like get up on a soapbox and speak once. Feel free to like have this conversation amongst yourselves. I'm just like very grateful for everybody being here tonight because I know everybody's super busy. All right. So I think everyone knows why we're here tonight. Basically what's happening right now, what has been discussed by the film department, and I will read that off for you guys exactly like what the wording of the email was the other day, just in case you didn't see that. But essentially the practicum as we know it is going away. And they have mentioned that it will be replaced by a program that looks different. And I think we can all agree that practicum is like one of the most productive experiences that learners have here at Columbia, and that it means a lot to us as students and as filmmakers. And so that we should have a say in what comes next. So this is what exactly was in the email that was from the department office that sort of details at least what Thelma's thinking right now. So it says, and I quote, practicum has served as a capstone production experience with both the CTVA, BFA, and BA students, but is not formally integrated into the degree program. So while we are still offering a final production experience in CTVA, its name and structure will be changed to reflect the degree program to make it easier for all students to participate. We are removing some of the hurdles that some students have had with enrolling in practicum by offering more inclusive capstone experience with both degree programs. I'm excited to work with all of the students to be creating this program. And then they do have an official statement. If anybody didn't get that email or is interested in reading like the in-depth statement on that, I am happy to send that if you do want to see that. I just drop your email in the chat and I can forward that to you. So to me, that sounds like they're inviting us in to hear what we have to say and what we value about this program to make sure that those things don't go away. A lot of things that are sort of in contrast to that sentiment that was expressed in the email have been going around that are contradictory to the sentiments that were shared. In that it sounds like the scope of the projects is changing, you know, and we can get into that too, because I know everybody knows a little bit different, and I think it would be important for everybody to preface anything that they've heard with like who you heard it from as well. So that's the official information that we have from the chair right now. So that is why we are here tonight. So tonight I just want to go over how everybody's feeling, like I said, and make sure that the right people are hearing what we have to say. All right, so at this rate, I'm just going to open the floor. Make sure if you are not speaking that your microphone is off, just so we don't have any feedback issues. And yeah, I'm just going to open the floor. Just, I'm not going to do hand raising or anything crazy, so it'll probably be a little weird, but just be respectful, and I'm sure we can have a great conversation.
Can I just ask a question? I just was curious, like, to clarify, have they given any other information like in that in-depth email about what the alternative looks like?
No, as of now, there's not a lot of like clear plan as far as like what's going on with what the next program is going to look like, which I feel like is a great opportunity for us to come in and talk about like what we value about it as they start to devise what this program is going to look like. Also keeping in mind too that this won't be implemented until after the next round of practicums is finished shooting. So basically spring of next year.
I can say what I know about what they're planning to replace practicum with right now is basically they want to do more productions but give them less money. So it seems to me from what I've heard, this is mostly from Adam Jones, that and Carolina as well, that they're gonna give productions like a starter amount of money, probably like 1 to 2 grand, so that they can give more productions a little bit of money, and then they're supposed to raise the rest of it. They want to give like producers a raising money experience, even though I think that I would argue that D3 is already, a great way to do that. And that basically they just want to create more projects overall rather than have like 5 or 6 practicums every semester. They want to create I don't know what number, but many more than that it seems.
I also heard something similar to that from Tony. He said that we maybe would have to apply for grants. So I don't know how exactly that would work, or if it would be like your project doesn't get greenlit or something like that. Like, we have no idea, but it definitely seems like we're gonna have more hoops to jump through than we already do.
So like with that, I mean, if we're applying for grants, I guess they probably haven't said like how those would be awarded. Like there's a lot of different ways those get approved or not approved. But in this context, like, would it be creative? Would it be like merited or like what? I don't know. That's just very, very vague.
All I know about that is that you're supposed to like create a pitch and then pitch it to the school. Like you bring a whole crew together, PD, DP, director, and whatnot, and then you create a pitch. And then if you get approved, you're lucky, and if not, then I guess you kind of figure it out from there.
Do we know who would be adjudicating that, like making those decisions? Just Thelma or a committee of people? Because I've also heard people raise issues about Thelma having like this sole power over like who is getting into practicum from now on and getting into the BFA programs, and how it should be more of like a committee-based decision. But it sounds like we just don't have the information available to us at this time.
Yeah, I guess bringing in that issue too that has been discussed. There's a different group of like sort of people organizing around issues around like equity and access to the BFA program, which also includes then the practicum experience, which is not limited to BFA students, but mostly ends up going to BFA students, where I think there are very credible claims that there's some favoritism and maybe even some racism and stuff going into those decisions based on the fact that the BFAs are usually decided by a sole figure. So I think that's a good issue to also corroborate the issues that are happening with this practicum experience too, and like what we want to shape it to look like, because there's definitely lots of questions of equity and access and stuff from a socioeconomic level with this, because bringing in the idea of like having to basically come into the class raising the second part of your funds automatically sort of, it sends a strong message to students who are maybe coming from a different economic background where their parents or family members may not be able to donate to support the films that they're making, if that makes sense. That would be my main concern.
Also, the program, like having to like essentially pitch your thing and then get grants that way sounds very much like the way that DePaul makes their like version of practicum. And that is, no offense to any people that are into the DePaul film group, it's just like a very messy process. Like me and Lane had the chance to work on one of those types of films, I think 2 summers ago. It was a messy experience money-wise, and they were only really given, I think maybe it was, I don't know, $1,200. They had to raise everything else on their own. It was a difficult process. And like to Garrett's point, like we kind of already do have a system in place that is like that, which is D3. That is a great experience that people get to do crowdfunding and to do those things. It's great for the producers. It's great for the directors. I don't know why it needs to happen in practicum form, especially because practicum is all about like a studio space and working under like executives and things like that. And teachers are acting as if they are executives. So to me, to take the power away of those executives choosing their students to be working on those seems like we are missing out on an experience that all of us, particularly me, like everything I know about production design is because of practicum. It's because I've worked under people that have had incredible talent, and I was lucky enough to work in their crews, and now I know what I know because of practicum. So to me, it's a huge disservice. And I mean, people that are in PD here, and I only can speak for that department because that's my department, but like we have classes, but it's like at a certain point, you have to just like birdie has to leave the nest and do their thing. And that's what practicum sort of holds. It's like you have the chance to spread your wings in that realm without being under a teacher, under, you know, like a drawing class or whatever. Like you can only go so far with our particular major. So it makes me nervous as a production designer, knowing that there isn't a for sure amount of funds for a film that I'm going to make, because that makes me lose out on the experience of working with those types of funds, that guaranteed type of fund moving forward. I just do not see the value in taking that experience out of the students, specifically for PD people. But of course, I know that people aren't the PD folks here. They take experience for those departments as well. And I hope people speak on those points as well today. So,
well, specifically to PD, I think the difference between D3 and practicum is such a big jump. Like D3 is traditionally, not this semester, but it's shooting on location, dressing on location. The kind of experience you have in interacting with space like that is way different than constructing a set from scratch or building it. And it kind of seems like, to me, I feel like they're going to use this as leverage to have less builds, which not every film needs a build, but especially for production designers, like that's a huge reason why we would stay at Columbia. Like they don't have that opportunity at DePaul. Like they have CineSpace and they want to brag about it, but nobody can build sets there. Nobody's involved in making the product the way that we are here. So taking that away would just be really shitty, frankly. And like everybody benefits from a good set. Like everybody on the crew benefits from having a good set on their portfolio. So that would just be like a big shame they took it away. I mean, I'm biased, I'm Build Boy, but
Yeah, I mean, these are all fantastic points being raised here. Yeah, I mean, everything that I have just learned over, like, I mean, I'm in my first round of practicums right now. Like, this is the first time that I've been involved in practicum is this semester. And I have learned more about like constructing a set, more about like how a film comes together, obviously from an art department perspective, because that's where I'm at, but like how a whole film comes together through practicum than I think I ever would have just from classes or from any other experience. And I really value that. And yeah, I mean, Louise knows this. Louise taught me how to use a router. So I love learning from the people on practicum crews. I just love the experience of that, the camaraderie that comes together from working on a production. And I've loved the experience, and I would hate to see that go away.
I'd also like to add that like practicum kind of has taught, especially in like the grip and electric department, just how to work safely. Because I find that like you'll learn from a lot of people who have gone through practicum, because I think practicum is kind of like a full circle thing where your gaffer or key grip will teach you how to work more safely and how to rig lights more safely. So, and I know, especially from lighting 2, you don't really learn that. Like a lot of the lighting 2 teachers are kind of like, sure, that'll work. But I would say that that is what I'm more worried about, is just this whole idea of losing kind of the safety side of things.
Yeah, it's from like a cinematography, grip and electric camera like perspective. I think it's really formative for underclassmen, freshmen, and sophomores. I know for myself, you walk onto a practicum set, and all of a sudden there's like 50 people there, and you can see, you know, how a professional camera team is working, how a professional genie team is running, and you learn so much, and you can aspire to that. And that's, you know, then removed, then all of a sudden like a level of, I guess, professionalism that's being taught at Columbia is no longer being instilled in, you know, freshmen. Because when I walked on like practicum sets as a freshman, it was incredible to see that many people working fluidly. And, you know, not to say that practicum's perfect, but it was, you know, I wanted to aspire to that. And when I did my practicum, I was like, I want to run it, even given restrictions this semester. I was like, I want to run it as smoothly and professionally, safely as possible. And I feel like losing that as an underclassman, like especially the underclassmen these last 2 semesters because of COVID, I feel so bad for them that they're not able to experience that. Hopefully they are this fall. But it's, again, like there's a safety thing, but also you can see just how good and professional you can be at school. So it would be, I think, D3 is one thing, I think, but practicum is a whole nother level. And when you're actually a department head in practicum, like you've gone through so many hours on set and you know so much more, all the way from going all the way back like 3 or 4 years to your freshman year, that it would be a shame to throw that away and just have, like, with all due respect to D3, I think practicum is on a much different level than what you put into for a D3.
Yeah, and speaking as somebody who is only a sophomore this year, who has gotten the chance to sort of fast track the degree path and is working on practicum right now, I think that a lot can be said for like having that capstone experience like as a junior or a senior, but I think there's also just as much to be said for getting rid of the entry level positions, because I think the thing that sets Columbia apart as a school from other film schools is the fact that when you are walked around campus or you go to an online event for Columbia, they really sell you on the fact that as a freshman you have the chance to work on those advanced capstone projects and see your peers working at an advanced level. And I think that is incredibly important. I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't have friends or a community or any idea what was going on in the world of production design, or an inkling of what was going on in the industry without this experience. I truly think that this is a very special project that gets people to come to Columbia and then keeps people here and engaged far beyond what classes are capable of doing.
Yeah, I also like Columbia loves to say, I'm remembering when I was applying as like a freshman, that they're like, we don't require portfolios because we want people who like changed their mind senior year of high school that they wanted to be art people to be able to do that. And practicum and like that model of program that allows people to kind of dabble in little things as like PAs and as set deck and like things like that, to get their toes wet and kind of figure out where they want to be on a big production is so important to figuring out where you want to be. And then they're just like, I don't know, it feels like it's going against everything that they kind of try to say that they stand for as
No, it totally is. And I know very little people that started in the department that they are in now, whether they started in film and then switched departments or they were in some other major at the college. But they sell you on that so much, like create your own major, like discover yourself, live what you love. But then there's no infrastructure to help those incoming classmates. And then you're just like left in the cold. So what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
I want to say adversely, like this is kind of against what we've been saying. I think film school should have an element of exclusion, or else like there's no point in going to school. Like if there's no challenge and there's no kind of like level up to like work towards a bigger goal or more challenging project, why are you there? Like, and if you come in as a freshman, I mean, I came in as a transfer student, and I came in because I saw that practicum was a thing, and I didn't know anyone like at Columbia because I just transferred, and how I met people and how I started working was showing up to the hardest set and asking to help. And like if there's no challenge, it's just going to be people who are crewing. It's competing for $1,000 of grants. Like lunch costs $200 at least. It's really, really dumb. My hot take.
Yeah, and also like if you're going to apply for the grants with a crew already predetermined, like if you're going with a group of people, the freshmen are never going to get chosen to like go work on a film. Like they have no option to be like, oh, I'm going to do this, because people are going to pick people that they already know rather than like, oh, a freshman that I've never met before.
Yeah, and there's also like, just to further what Leah was saying, like I think that there's just something to be for like just diving in head first and like just trial by fire kind of thing, instead of, I don't know, it's just like, yeah, I guess I'm just saying what Leo said.
Something that I just thought of is that like if you get rid of practicum, you get rid of the practicum salon, which I know for me as a freshman was like a great way to get a bunch of like juniors and seniors contact information, and that I could be like, hey, I can do this and this for you on set. And just the sheer size of practicum helps with like what you were saying, Lily, about bringing freshmen onto set. Like you can because you can have like 50 to 55 people, that's what I remember seeing on like certain call sheets for like the touring tests and other practicums, that like you can bring on completely green grips or art people because you have enough crew to like make up for any weak links that you might have. But that's really important because then you're passing on knowledge and also experience, so that like if people, you know, try doing G&E and they go, oh, never mind, don't want to do this, and they move to art or do something else, you know, you can't do that experience if you're subjecting yourself to or the school is subjecting you to forcing you to do a smaller production. People will just instinctively be less willing to take on green crew members, which is then a disadvantage, like doing a disservice to freshmen and sophomores.
I don't know. I mean, they're making more practicums, right? I mean, I'm not fully in on this idea. I'd like to know the motives behind this like change that they're making before I really comment on this, but it seems we can all agree that practicum is an invaluable experience. And I think the school's response to that, to everything we've said so far, would be, you're welcome. We're making more practicums next year, making twice as many. But I think someone made a great point earlier about certain students just not having the ability to raise money, and the factors that we can't manipulate at all, that would unfairly make some projects just better than others and would prioritize certain higher level crew members for being chosen. I like the idea of there being more productions, honestly. 5 practicums or 6 that they're doing now is good amount, but my most chief concern is the money. Like, we pay a certain amount of tuition, and that tuition's only going to go up. So I'm not going to stand for any less being spent on practicum, right? I think you guys are making good points about like lower budget but more productions being like a wrong way to go about it. I just see the school being like, well, that's the decision we made. Like, more productions is going to get more people on set. I think you have a good argument there that may not be true, though.
I think there's also. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
there's
what
also,
I wanted to say. I just don't want them to give us less money. I don't want them to say, okay, we're giving out $1,000 to 8 practicums now instead of 5,000 to 5 and to each. And then it's like, well, hold on, the hell is the rest of our tuition money going?
Well, that's the whole thing. There's like this mystery that surrounds the entire administration of the school and the film department. And you're like, okay, so you raised our tuition this semester for nanoseptic cleaning buttons that are actually, they don't work.
Yes.
Like, we don't
so
want
I want to know what the
here.
motivation is.
We don't know yet. They haven't told us.
If it's money motivated, it's like, okay, I see right through that, and I'm very nervous that it's money motivated. If it's not money motivated, if it's like we're trying to get more people on set, or we're trying to get more productions, I'm open to that. Like, I'm open to a discourse there about what could be the future of practicum. But if it's just a money decision, exactly like the film, it's like.
I think Anna, are you still? Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
I think for me, so I did practicum as a cinematographer in fall 2019, and I think for what I experienced is it was one of the most positive experiences that I'd ever had on any set ever, I would say. And I think what was so valuable for the entire experience was having that authority and the ability to literally just do my job. Because I think on a lot of other sets, you are kind of constantly bombarded with other jobs you also have to pay attention to. And that was something where I could solely focus on my job, my crew, my actual craft. And that was incredible and amazing. And so I would really hate to see that, disappear and have to sacrifice some of that. And my other thought too is, I had spoken with Adam about this on and off, and I still talk with him sometimes, is that he was talking about the amount of people that go through practicum and how everyone is really sort of prepared at different levels throughout different departments and things like that. And it's not, what gets me about hearing more that they want to continually add more productions, I don't think that you're going to have enough people who are ready for that experience, because it's a lot to take on. And I think that those who have done practicum can totally, back me up on that it is a huge commitment and something you have to be fully ready for, because it's tough. It's just completely tough. And so that'd be my other thought, I guess, on that.
That brings up the fact also,
Yeah,
there's literally not.
that's a really great point.
we don't have the right, we don't even have enough cameras like and lenses to bring on more practicums. Like when Columbia was in full swing pre-COVID, every high-end digital camera was out. Pretty much all the lenses were out on, like if you were to add more practicums, they'd have to buy more cameras, and all they did is just bought one camera, a super expensive camera. And they just bought one of it. Like that's not going, and they said this is for practicum, and then they simultaneously then cut practicum. It's like, so what is there, as we were talking before, what is there to look up to? Because I totally agree with you, Betsy, that like if it's not, like I don't think having more productions is going to get more people on set, because again, you have to wear more hats, and I mean some practicums have 30, 40, 50 people in them. If it's like, that's enough people, I think, then if you were to have 3 small sets that each bring on 15 people, what's the difference there? I don't even think it's like feasible scheduling wise, because the MPC when is packed on a normal semester. Advanced cameras is totally full at the normal semester. So I don't know how adding more productions is going to, like the production value of more productions is going to fall, because there's less people, less equipment, less professional equipment. And I think that's just a shame, because yeah.
I guess another
But I was
question.
Yeah. I
Sorry.
wanted to bring up. Oh,
Everyone's
sorry.
talking. Go ahead.
I guess
Who's going?
I just have like a quick,
Me?
I guess,
Oh,
broad. Wait, I'm sorry. I just sort of have a broad question. I guess is that if their concern chiefly is the amount of money, but they're trying to do more productions, and I guess figuratively they would be spending about the same amount. So I guess what's their main concern, and does it have something to do with COVID, perhaps, of saying that they want to
speak to that? I think that what their desire is to increase and expound upon the experience of film school, and they're not prioritizing giving us real industry level experience. Their desire is to get us on more film sets, not actually build like the real skill. They just want us to have 10 student films on our resume. Like I really think this is true. They want 10 student films on our resume, and it's all like a kid taking his homework home, instead of like a period film, an actual like real like high production value. It's not about getting us ready for the industry. They're just trying to give us 4 years worth of fun film school, because that's all they need from us.
Yeah,
I think you might be onto something there.
Like
Everyone is talking. I want to say this really quick. So the way that school is moving and migrating is treating us like a customer. That makes sense. Columbia, I think, safe to say, a vocational school, not an academic powerhouse. I think we all know that coming in, and that's okay. But for the consumer experience now to be, okay, everyone gets a cheapo film, and now you can leave because you did a movie, is very, very silly, because I think having kind of like a path of progression and growth is helpful, because it's almost kind of a self-selecting process. I think people that really involve themselves from the get-go and have the gumption and like ability to sign up for these 50-person crews where they might be the least experienced person there, but they're welcomed at it and like they're willing to struggle. That's a lot more helpful than being like, I directed this bad movie for $1,000 and this is on my resume. You're not going to grow from that. It's like a weird celebrity self-branding thing that is really fulfilling for like the customer, but it's not like helpful career building.
Yeah, I also wonder if it like has something to do. I just wonder if it has more to do with like, oh, we think that students want this, or if it's more about like, we want to look like we do a bunch of shit, kind of, because like they don't actually show our films. They don't have to. They just get to say like, oh yeah, our students do 10 films every, whenever they go through college or whatever. I just don't think that it has. I just have just from what I know of Columbia, I have a really hard time believing that like it has anything to do with something that we want. You know what I mean?
They will try to sell it to us like it's something good for us and it's a favor that they're doing. But even if that is the case, it's still probably money motivated, just like knowing the school, having been here for 4 years. I think there needs to be a balance between more productions and higher quality productions, But there's some people that come to PA on a set one day and they're like, oh, actually, this sucks. I don't want to be here on my feet for 12 hours. And I'm glad that I got the opportunity to find out that I actually hate this before I keep going. Or, you know, you're like, wow, I'm insane and I love this and I want to stick around. But a lot of the people I met in film my freshman and sophomore year are long gone. I didn't meet most of my friends until I was a junior level, like capstone filmmaker, and I had already designed a practicum at that point. So I just don't know where the right balance is. I think there just needs to be more transparency from the school as a whole, but specifically our film administration. And they're just not listening to us. Like, I don't know why they're making decisions without talking to people on the ground. So that's like what this meeting with Thelma should be about.
I just want to say too, I think that Betsy's point really resonated with me as far as like, who is ready for this and do we have enough people to even do more projects? I don't hear anybody who's working this semester saying that we needed to do more practicums, because all of us are doggedly worked to the bone at this point. Like, we are like, I don't, again, like Garrett said, I don't know where we would fit more practicums in, because right now we have only 1 week for build and then 1 week to shoot on the stage. So that would be a question that I have. I know things.
This is also more time. That's more time than we've ever had. Before, we had to load in a set Thursday night at 5 o'clock because D2s are shooting until 5 o'clock on Thursday. You have Thursday night and maybe part of Friday morning if you could get that worked out with your team. A lot of times we were running behind because we just had no time. Like, the only reason we have time this semester is because of COVID, but it's a double-edged sword because we don't have the support because of the 10 people rule.
I just wanted to touch on the purchase orders with the art department.
Really fast, can I finish my point before we move on to purchase orders too?
Please go for it.
Because I think that like within the size of the art department, I know that we couldn't support, even like as Lily said, I think they're trying to remove the practicum experience as it is right now, where we have like a mix of shooting on at the M.P.C and shooting on location, which I think is a waste of the M.P.C and the building the building means that we have there. But I don't think that there are enough people, like speaking just because I know the art department the best, I don't think that there has ever been enough people in the art department to support more practicums than already happen, especially not people in the art department that are at the level where they're ready to have like a higher up position where they're ready to like delegate to other people. There's always a lot of people who are interested in the art department who want to help. And I think that interest is there, but there won't be enough people to production design, and there won't be enough people to art direct, and you know, some of those other like department head positions. I just like, I would be very concerned that we'd be running into the same problem we have this semester, where everybody loves each other, loves the films that we're working on, and is exhausted and going to be entirely burnt out by the end of the semester, because it's frankly just like a little bit too much right now. I've never heard anybody ask for more practicum films from the school before.
Can I just jump in for 1 second?
Quickly? Because I have work tomorrow. But I think most of the faces, if not all of the faces that I recognize, are either camera or art. So before meetings happen, it might be wise to try and find a person from like production or directing that could also offer input. Because I have no idea what either of those departments think about this situation at all. Keep me posted. Best of luck with the rest of your meeting. I gotta go.
Can I just jump in real quick before we move on to what Sam's going to say? Is that I think also after kind of moving on from school, practicum was such a formative experience, but I also think that being a department head is not something that you're going to walk out of Columbia and go do. You know, like it's a very specific experience, and that's something that like I think probably ideally you would want in the end, is that sort of experience depending on what you want to do. But I think also we have to look at practicum as not just for a capstone project, but also for everyone who is working on it. Because I think, like we touched on a little bit earlier, is that for me, starting out being just showing up at the M.P.C and trying to just walk in on practicums and things like that, that I think that's what really, really changed me and informed how I wanted to be, because you learn so much from being on the very bottom, you know? And I think that's something that we should also think about. And I don't know like what the next steps are going to be moving forward and how this is going to present itself in the future. But I think that would be a point to think about too, is that it's all encompassing for everyone there and not just for seniors.
Let's talk about purchase orders real fast too, and then we can move on. So Samantha, you have the floor.
Thank you. Most of us about the whole purchase order drama this semester and how, you know, it's delegated to these 2 staff members that are buying everything for us. And for the people that are working on practicums this semester, you know, the ebbs and flows of that whole situation, about how much it's changed. And, you know, we're like in a major change right now. We're not really utilizing the 2 people that were given to us. We're now moved into two different other people that are helping us with purchase orders. So if they're really wanting to do more productions, and we have this issue with the IRS, they never really gave us a super clear reason why we can't do it the old way, you know, where we just go out and buy stuff. If we can't do it that way anymore, and we already have 2 staff members that are not doing the amount that we need them to do, they want to pump out how many more films with how much more purchase ordering. And like, how complicated and messy is that going to be? And nobody should ever be as stressed as we have been with these purchase orders. So you're going to put more students in that situation and put more staff members in that situation as well. I just think it is a huge mistake to move forward with without a plan and without talking to us, because we've all talked to our faculty, our teacher members about our issues with it. But it's like, I don't know if Thelma knows any of that. Like, it just really concerns me for the people that are going to continue on at the school, people in art, people in whatever, having to buy stuff, about having security that their stuff is going to be there. And if you have less money to make a film, like, you have less experience being able to work with a large scale budget anyways. To me, it's just like a huge concern. And I'm really only saying it for the recording, so whoever is watching this hears me, of like, that needs to be figured out, because it's not working this semester, and it wasn't working a year ago, and it was first implemented. Like, it needs to be sorted out. Like, oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Well, it also makes me wonder how much agency the school would be able to have in our projects, because in D3, we get guidance from professors, but ultimately it's the director, the producer, whoever raised money, it's their money. So they get to do with it what they want. The reason why faculty gets to be so involved in practicum is because it's the school's money. So if we have a combination of the 2, I just feel like there would be clash over what is able to be achieved and the stories that we're able to tell, and, you know, even down to like really specific stuff. Because I think that if they have money in it, they're gonna, you know, say, well, we have agency over this because we're giving you money and we're the institution.
I think that's a great point, because then it's like you're taking your own money and then someone else's, and it's trying to make 2 parties happy. And that's just something that you really don't experience, you know, within film, as you should. I also just think like having the purchase orders thing be this way takes also the real life experience of how it is to buy stuff in a film. And it just needs to be figured out, because it's giving anyone any services. So that was my piece on that.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate too that, like, I really think that having to go the crowdfunding route, even if there are grants that are made available through the school for more money, I think that's an equity issue. I think that one of the, you know, if the school's about diversity and inclusion and including new people in filmmaking that don't have opportunities to do so prior to being at Columbia, then you need a program in place where everybody equally gets the same amount of money to make a movie, because there will be.
Yeah, Louise,
there will be
that's a fantastic point.
Yeah. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring something like, oh yeah, I was just gonna bring up like exactly what you said. You read my mind. But I was just gonna say, like, Columbia loves to push, like, when you apply, when you get here, that like, oh, we're a very diverse school. We love our diversity. We love all of our students. We love that our students come from so many different backgrounds. And it's like, okay, well, if you're putting a system in place that requires all of these students to, yeah, it's like, well, if you're putting a system in place to, like, you know, have all of these students like raise their own money and do all of this stuff, it's like exactly what we've been saying, is like, there's an issue with that, because there's people that can't get that kind of money from their families and from the you know, places that they come from. And it's like, okay, I did have what I was trying to say. Yeah, it's a blatant display of then like, oh, look at these films that these people who are able to raise money because they're affluent made, like compared with these films that people who weren't able to raise as much money made, and then it's definitely a racism issue. Like it's definitely a racism issue. It's an everything issue. It's just a big old flop.
And like, don't we pay enough money to where like we shouldn't have to like crowdfund practicums?
Exactly. We're already paying tens of thousands of dollars for tuition. How is the number of the budgets changing?
Where's it going? Where is it going? Like, I don't know, because we don't have scissors that are sharp in the shop. So like, what the fuck?
No, exactly. I just see a loss of money here. I don't understand where the money is being like reutilized or being put back into the system.
This is, again, speculation, but I think it's just because no one is coming to a vocational school where you can't be in person. It doesn't make sense. And I think the only way that this conversation is going to be productive, because it is, again, a school, is to be really concrete in your questions. So it's, when it comes to talking about like our grievances with practicum, that is gone. Like that is killed. And we have no idea what it's going to look like because it's going to be in a year. Most of us won't be there because we will be graduated. I think what's important is to be specific in demands, and then kind of back that up, because I think, yeah, it's killed essentially.
I really wanted to bring everybody together tonight to imagine what a new program is going to look like, because I think that we can't sit here and say, bring practicum back, bring practicum back. And I think we're all willing to admit too that there were problems with practicum. I mean, you want to talk about like a race issue. I'm sitting here looking at a bunch of people that are in the BFA and that are doing practicum right now. And I'm looking at a lot of white faces. Like, to be honest, like if they want to bring up an inclusion issue, there is an inclusion issue. So there's obviously the purchase order thing. Like there's a lot going on here that can be fixed. And I just think that we need to be involved. And like Lily said, we need to be specific about what we enjoyed about the last program, and that we want to be involved in imagining what the next program is going to look like. Nick, I saw that let's have your point be the last point here too. And then we'll move on into next steps, because I feel like it's a good time to transition.
I kind of forgot what I was going to say.
No worries. All right. Okay. So I am going to put this up on IGTV and also on YouTube too. So this will be like, we can access this discussion again and come back to this. But I am going to put up some numbers on the screen here, and we're going to talk about what's going to come next. So letter writing campaign. This is just a first step. I know that we are tired of emailing people when things go wrong, but this is where we're going to start. So and a lot of us are uncomfortable too with like voicing our opinions maybe in a verbal way, because we are visual people here in the film department. So just to show how powerful this experience has been to you, send reels, send photos and examples of high level work you've created during practicum, just to really drive home like what specific aspects of this project has been really important to you. And then if you do want to write a piece to go along with that, how has practicum informed you as a collaborator, an artist, a learner, an entrepreneur, and a community member? And really being very specific, identifying specific aspects of the program that benefited you in that way, specific things that you want to see included in the next advanced capstone project. And like Lily said, driving home that specificity is going to be key here. And so if you guys want to take a little print screen right now or a little picture on your phone, these are the people that your letters need to see. All of them, you're welcome to call their office, but I think an email is going to allow you to be composed and include visuals as well if you so choose. I'm just going to give everybody a minute to like make sure that you have this information here. And I again will post this on my Instagram. I am going to put that also in the chat just in case you found this from a friend and you don't follow me. What I think the question boils down to. Yeah, I think that Lily.
Oh, I wanted to
say it again.
I can't. Oh, I was just gonna say my Wi-Fi is being like really weird, and I can't see like it. Your screen share thing is just like spinning and spinning. So, is there a way where I can get the list of stuff without screenshotting it?
Yeah, I'll make sure to DM it to you too. I will. Yeah, I'm gonna post this information.
Okay, thank you so much, Louise. I appreciate it.
If you can't get a screenshot right now, that information will be made
Okay.
available in other ways as well. So I'm gonna go on to the next slide really fast.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then you're going to need a screenshot of this as well, and I will post more information about this as well. So once we have crystallized our specific ideas about what we want practicum to look like and our demands as a student body, we all need to show up to this CTVA meeting with Thelma. This is where she's going to announce and discuss what is happening with practicum, and this is going to be the most powerful, I think, arena where we can confront her with our opinions on like what's going on, and also our specific desire to be involved with what happens next. So make sure that you also have this date down. No matter what's happening, I'm going to make sure that I can be there, and I would love to see as many people as possible. Tell your friends, even people who aren't here tonight, to be at this meeting if they can. Because especially, I mean, if you're going to be here in the coming year or 2 years, if you're like me, this is going to change all of the program. And I was talking to Lily about this earlier. I think having this coalition built and having this space to voice frustration with the school and the choices that are being made is going to be really important, because I don't think this is the last decision that they're going to make that is going to negatively impact our learning. And I think we need to stay firm in our coalition as a student body, because our interests are more similar. So yeah, mentioned in the chat, just want to highlight, worth mentioning that the practicum is sold on modeling professional process. That specific wording is really good, and I think that that's something we talked a lot about tonight that we want to see carried through into whatever the next advanced capstone looks like. So yeah, does everyone have this information for the meeting coming up with Thelma?
Yeah, can I ask a quick question to like the group overall?
Yeah,
I have like, what is more appealing to people, being a small part of something big where you're essentially nameless, or being the name on a small project? What's more appealing? Maybe a thumbs up for the first one, thumbs down for the second one. I'm just curious.
So being, let's go first, put a thumbs up if you are, and I'll come back to the gallery review real fast. Put a thumbs up if you're more interested in being a small name on a big collaborative project. All right, I'll wait for all those thumbs to disappear again. There they go. Okay. And I think that was everybody, but thumbs up if you want to be a bigger name on a smaller project. All right, well, that does speak volumes, even though we are a small sampling of the film department.
I have a comment on that, if that's okay. Like, yeah. I feel like, I mean, okay, I don't know as much about practicum as a lot of you guys do, but I feel like being a big name on a small project, I mean, that's just what everything except practicum is. That's what like D123s are. That's what like every that's what like every literal other project that you're gonna do at Columbia is. So it doesn't really matter if that's what you prefer, because you're gonna get that. But practicum is what you're not gonna get. Like, even, you see what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, you said that and you did not stutter, and the mic did drop and hit the floor. So
I agree. I think it just like facilitates way more experience, like being on such a bigger project, like Garrett and Lane mentioning, like you have such a huge crew you're working with, and like that gives you so much more experience than working with like such a small group of people. And that's my reasoning for like wanting to be a part of a small name and a big crew, because it's just something that has given me the opportunity to make small mistakes that I will not make when I am a big name. It's just really important to the learning experience.
And also, like, that's more like real life. I mean, movie credits are long for a reason, you know, like, because there's a lot of people that go into it. And then, like, if the whole reason is like giving us real world experience, then make it real world. Bigger crews are what the reality is, you know, like you don't get a big blockbuster movie with
one of the big things that I absolutely adore about practicum, and one of the specific things that I'll be sure to mention when I write that email, is that like, and on practicum, you don't there's really no sense of like, I have to be good at this thing immediately. Like there's such a sense of I'm starting out here and I'm learning from all of these people around me. And I think that's what I love most about it, is that there's no pressure to be 100% perfect, because you have a support system of a bunch of people around you who can help you and teach you, and who you can learn from. And I think that that's a really important specific point about practicum.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, I feel like if the whole Columbia experience is getting to be like a big name on a small project, then a lot of people are into thinking that maybe they like this because they get to be in charge of everything, and then you get out into the industry and realize that you do not get to be in charge of everything. And so like, yeah, you're really not gonna, that's not going to produce students that know what to expect. That's more going to produce like students who think that they like film because they get to, you know, function in that way, and then they get out in the world and say like, oh, okay, I just wasted 4 years of my life, I don't like this, you know.
It's the legacy of it. I think that's what we've all been like basically circling around this whole time, is like, I mean, like I designed a practicum when I was a sophomore, and now I'm art directing Louise, who is a sophomore designing practicum, and I am friends with people that have graduated that I worked on their sets when I didn't know what I was doing. And that's what's really valuable. And also, I have sat in on the admitted student days. They want to sell their connections as a reason why you should come to this school so hard. But if you don't have an opportunity to work on a bigger project at some point, then you're not going to be able to meet as many people as you do on one set, like 15 people compared to 50 people one day. It's way different. And like we're all saying, I think that there's good things to come from both, but having the opportunity to do it at all is way more valuable than anything you would get anywhere else, honestly.
Yeah, and also I think the reason they're like trying to sell connections, and maybe this is me being kind of jaded, but it's like if they want you to fundraise, they're trying to get the people with the most money to do it, because those people are more likely to like finance for things later. Like if there's a bunch of like poor people doing it, like they're gonna have they want the rich connections is what I'm trying to say.
That whole fundraising.
Your mic just dropped. Like that was, you are so lovely and loud, Lily. That was so good.
I do want to open the floor too, because there are a few people in the meeting, and if you're not comfortable speaking and you don't necessarily have anything to say, don't feel pressured. But there are a few people who haven't gotten the chance to speak yet, and I wanted to open the floor if you guys had anything you wanted to say. Oh, hi, Lola. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't dominating the conversation from some of the voices who maybe haven't participated yet. Your input is still like incredibly valuable as well. So I guess just like as somebody who when I came through for like I toured Columbia before deciding to come here, I got taken on a tour of the M.P.C. and my first experience with Columbia, and this was the exact moment that I decided to come here, and I want to make this loud and clear. I walked in to them setting up for, there was one of the days when the lighting crew was in with the production design crew, setting up for one of the practicums, and walking through and seeing how hands-off things were and how much responsibility was there and had by students, and how many people were getting opportunities to be there of different skill levels, and seeing people teach each other, that was enough to sell me, just seeing that was happening. And I think if that goes away, you have a lot of students like me who still have 2 years left here that are questioning, why am I going here? Do I need to be going here anymore? Because this is a really special experience that is happening at the school that sets it apart from other schools. And I think that would be a shame to lose it.
I also want to say that I know people that started in Columbia Film and have transferred out of it. It's really hard to get transfer credits from Columbia accepted at most other colleges. There's a reason why, lots of reasons why. I mean, most colleges don't have a cinema props course, or is in depth of like a lighting 2 or a lighting 3 course, or even like producing 5. That doesn't exist at DePaul or other schools. So that's just something you can't replicate.
Yeah, speaking as somebody who's transferring out of Columbia because I didn't want to do online school, I submitted my credits to 3 different community colleges, not even regular colleges, community colleges. Do you want to know how many credits got accepted? 2. It was my English class and my statistics class. Neither, and like nothing else.
My friend that I have a specific friend I'm thinking about, she transferred to DePaul. She's a screenwriting major at DePaul now. And she actually took 2 math classes at Columbia, and she had to retake 2 math classes at DePaul because they just didn't transfer. And then also, I know underclassmen that have wanted to take a gap year this semester, or this semester, either way. And Columbia is basically like, well, you can't do that because if you leave and come back, we're going to take your scholarship away. So it's also kind of academic blackmail in a way, which is something that needs to be addressed. I don't know, because it's kind of like, well, even if you're discontent with this, like, how feasible is it for you to transfer away? Like, they just basically took our money and ran.
I do feel like we have a lot out on the table right now, and we are at 8 o'clock right now, so I don't want to keep people too long. I feel like we covered a lot. I'm feeling like, is everyone feeling like they understand the next steps as far as emailing and showing up to the meeting goes? Good stuff. All right, well, Delaney has pins if you're interested in a pin. And you guys are welcome to follow me on Instagram for further information. I definitely want to keep this coalition building going, and I will be providing further information as things unfold with how this goes. So thank you so much for coming tonight. I know everybody's super busy, and I really value you being here and sharing your time, especially those of you who are leaving the school and simply just care about seeing people like me having an advanced capstone project to work on that doesn't suck. So I just want to reiterate my thanks and gratitude that you guys are here. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks so much for hosting.
Thank you.
Good job.
Love you.
Louise,
Goodbye.
where will we be able to access this recording after?
So I'm going to post it on my IGTV on my Instagram, and then I'm also going to post it as a YouTube video. I would be happy to send you the link to the YouTube video, because I know you're writing about it, and it could be helpful to reference what was said tonight.
Yeah.
I will make sure you specifically get that as soon as it's uploaded.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Everybody was so eloquent. This is so great. Bye, guys.
Great job, kid. You did so fucking good.
Stop recording. Stop recording.